Hello everyone, once again from the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, and again we're talking about the opposite of socialism. We are talking about one of the richest men in the world, and how he's just, a terrible person. And I know that isn't breaking news, but it's quite amazing how, every couple weeks, I think I'm done, covering this guy, and then he somehow gets even worse as the CEO of Twitter. Now, I'm a bit late to some of this, but there is some more stuff I want to talk about. Basically, he stealth fired someone, and then the person called him out on Twitter, and he basically said he fired them because they don't do any work, because they have a disability, right? So, nice guy Elon Musk here, really saying that to millions of people online. But then we have other things to talk about, especially in Twitter, where it's apparently a total nightmare, even more than usual. And Elon Musk is so paranoid about something, he's walking around Twitter headquarters with bodyguards all the time, including when he uses the bathroom, according to people who've spoke to the press who still work at Twitter. And then to top it all off, it came out today that he's actually looking to build his own town in Texas where his employees, I think, for the Boring Company will live, and they'll have a mayor that they elect. And if that sounds like it's going to be a disaster, it's because it's pretty much guaranteed to be an absolute disaster. But we are going to talk about all of this today. I guess it's just kind of like an update video on how terrible Elon Musk is being. We've done loads of videos on him recently, and it's really amazing how he's just made himself one of society's main villains now, because I used to make videos on him and they actually didn't get many views, and lots of leftists didn't really care about him. And also he had so many legions of simps who would come into your comments defending him. But now pretty much everyone agrees, apart from these hordes of fans, that he is just a terrible guy. Not only is he a terrible guy, he's just super embarrassing and cringeworthy with his attempts at being liked. And we spoke about his childhood before. I always thought Elon Musk had a villain origin story of being bullied as a kid. But it came out recently that apparently he said something terrible to another student about one of their recently dead parents. Then that kid pushed Elon Musk down the stairs, requiring Elon Musk to go to the hospital. And even his own dad said he wanted to take it up with the school and maybe look for punishment for the other student, but then realized that, yeah, Elon Musk actually deserved it, so he didn't do anything, right? So this is the guy that now runs one of the biggest social media platforms, and he's basically running it into the ground. I don't know about you, every time I use it, something new is going wrong. Recently, both my For You tab and my latest tabs in the timeline, they're just showing me random people's tweets that I don't follow, and they're not being promoted into my timeline, so it looks like I'm following them. So every time I go on Twitter, I'm like, who the hell is this person on my timeline? Realizing it's because Twitter must be testing a new feature where they just stick random tweets in your timeline like it's Instagram. Anyway, all of that coming up for you today in the video. Please like the video, and in the comments I would say, what is the worst thing Elon Musk has done recently? He has done loads of terrible things, including boosting all these racist conspiracy theories, but I think this recent firing and then backtracking to do with his employees is probably one of the most nasty things he's done. But of course, he has treated the Twitter employees like absolute garbage anyway, so it could be anything to do with that. But speaking of which, follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter, but also on Instagram. Instagram is where I'm posting all about my travels around Southeast Asia, and that's all archived on my highlight reels on my profile page, broken down by month. So if you care about seeing what I've been up to over the last 6 months, go check that out. Also consider becoming a patron. I have posted some travel content on the Patreon, and I've got another video coming out soon. Also, you get access to my Nintendo Switch friend code and the Discord server. And also check out the subreddit and check out my second channel down in the description. So let's start with the recent controversy, which makes Elon Musk look terrible, and it seems even pretty indefensible from his most hardline simp. So I'm going to get into who this guy is in a sec, to show you that Elon Musk is really treating someone who seems like a genuinely nice guy like trash. So Hallie at I Am Harolda wrote, "Dear Elon Musk, 9 days ago the access to my work computer was cut, along with about 200 other Twitter employees. However, your head of HR is not able to confirm if I'm an employee or not. You've not answered my emails, Maybe if enough people retweet, you'll answer me here. So again, this has been happening to lots of people at Twitter, just randomly locked out of their work accounts without warning. Elon Musk actually replies to this, "What work have you been doing?" And he replies, "I would need to break confidentiality to answer this question here. If you have your lawyers share in writing that I can do that, then I'd be happy to discuss this openly." Like, literally, he's given Elon Musk like a bit of an out here, but Elon Musk has such a big ego. He says, "It's approved, you go ahead." And Halley saying, "Among others, led the effort to save about $500,000 on one SaaS contract, supporting closing down many others, led design crits to help level up design across the company, was a hiring manager for all design roles, and worked on efforts to steer the company away from focusing on power users and onto younger users because our user base is aging." Elon Musk replies, "Level up from what design to what? Picks or it didn't happen. We haven't hired design roles in 4 months. What changes did you make to help with the use? Would you say that you're a people person posting something from Office Space showing how seriously he is taking this?" And then Halley replying, "To be clear, you have every right to lay me off. That's totally fine and fair. But usually people are told when that happens, maybe with a letter or something, which didn't happen for 9 days despite multiple emails to you and others." So Halley then took to his personal Twitter to write, "Following a long threaded back and forth, after no straight answers on my employment status for 9 days, I asked Elon Musk to tell me if I'd been laid off. He sort of replied." So after that exchange, he says, "Twitter's head of HR, who had previously twice been unable to tell me if I had a job, emailed and said I was no longer employed," which is okay. It happens all the time. Companies let people go, and that's within their rights. They usually tell people about it, but that's seemingly the optional part at Twitter now. But okay, fair enough. I've been laid off, and I'm okay with that. Next up, though, is finding out if Twitter will pay me what they owe me per my contract, or will Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world, try to avoid paying? Stay tuned. But then Elon Musk, being such an idiot, replies to this tweet saying, "I'm not going to lie, this is the most entertaining exit interview I've ever witnessed." And then Elon Musk replies, "The reality is that this guy, who is independently wealthy, did no actual work, claimed as his excuse that he had a disability that prevented him from typing, yet was simultaneously tweeting up a storm. Can't say I have a lot of respect for that. But was he fired? No, you can't be fired if you weren't working in the first place." So Elon Musk pretty publicly saying he basically fired someone for having a disability and saying they did no work when they clearly had done a lot of work, just showing you like how ableist this guy is, basically saying this guy was using his disability as an excuse. What, he just got a job there and then just did no work and constantly just said, "Oh, I have a disability, so I can't do work." Do you honestly think he really did that? And we're going to get into the background of this guy later to show you how like absurd it is to even say that. But again, showing he is a massive piece of shit. And also what's pretty horrible about this is Elon Musk like represents the mindset of so many people in business. And if someone like this feels comfortable tweeting this ableist stuff out to millions of people, imagine what people like him and so many people around, America or the West, how they talk about employees with disabilities like behind their backs. They are saying stuff just like that and saying they're using it as an excuse to not do work. So if Elon Musk was actually talking to his lawyers while replying to this guy and writing about this, of course they tell him, never say this. You're literally admitting to breaking the law and you're going to have to pay this guy a ton of money. But he actually replied to what Elon Musk was saying. "Hi again, Elon Musk. I hope you are well. I'm fine too. I'm thankful for your interest in my health. But since you mentioned it, I wanted to give you more info. I have muscular dystrophy. It has many effects on my body. Let me tell you what they are. My legs were the first to go when I was 25 years old. I started using a wheelchair. It's been 20 years since then. In that time, the rest of my body has been failing me too. I need help to get in and out of bed and use the toilet. For a long time, I thought my arms would remain strong. A doctor told me they would, but they ended up losing strength, which I don't mind telling you was hard to accept. But you okay? The cards you are dealt, and I've managed to create a wonderful life. My family is the best. I have 2 kids. I see them every day. I recommend that. My wife is fantastic, strong, kind, smart, amazing artist. Couldn't be happier with her. About 9 years ago, I started a company, Bueno.co. I've worked a lot. It didn't do my body any favors, but it's what I felt I needed to do. The hard work paid off and the company became very successful. We grew fast and made money. I think that's what you're referring to when you say I'm wealthy, that I independently made my money, as opposed to say inherited an emerald mine. During my time at the new Twitter, or 2.0 as you called it, I talked to my manager every week and asked what I should focus on, and then I proceeded to do those things, every one of them. And now finally to my fingers, which I know you have great concern for. Thank you for that, by the way. I'll tell you what I told them. I'm not able to do manual work for extended periods of time without my hands cramping. I can, however, write for an hour or two at a time. This wasn't a problem in Twitter 1.0 since I was a senior director and my job was mostly to help teams move forward. As I told HR, I can't work as a hands-on designer for the reasons outlined above. I'm typing this on my phone, by the way. It's easier because I only need to use one finger. I hope that helps. Let me know if you're going to pay me what you owe me. I think you can afford it. So I love how this guy frames this, because the attacks on Elon Musk are like nice and subtle, but of course, will really get under his skin. And he's even doing the Simpsons line, like this one tweet I especially love, where he says, "My family is the best. I have 2 kids. I see them every day. I recommend that. My wife is fantastic, strong, kind, smart, amazing artist." And why I love that so much is because Elon Musk is literally the most divorced guy in the world. Like, he's literally going through a midlife crisis, which seemingly has no end. And all his 9 children pretty much hate him and don't see him. And this guy is saying, like, although you mock my disability and think I don't have a good quality of life and think I can't even do work, here I am with an amazing family. I've been very, very successful in ways you never have been. Even this thing saying about his emerald mine. So I love this because this guy is being very polite, but is putting some nice burns in there. And it really seems like Elon Musk, out of everyone, picked really the wrong guy to try and make a public spectacle of and mock his disability. This is absolutely hilarious. Elon Musk's lawyers were ringing him up the second he tweeted this. So someone tweeted Elon, "As someone who's worked directly with I Am Harolda during a turnaround, this is super disappointing to see. Not only is his work ethic next level, his talent and humility are world class." Elon Musk replies, "Based on your comment, I just did a video call with Hallie to figure out what's real versus what I was told. It's a long story. Better to talk to people than communicate via tweet. Take your own advice from the future, Elon. I would like to apologize to Hallie for my misunderstanding of the situation. It was based on things I was told that were untrue, in some cases true, but not meaningful. He is considering remaining at Twitter now." I'm not telling Hallie what to do. I would love him to sue Elon Musk for seemingly firing him because he had a disability. But again, he does seem like a really humble guy, and maybe he doesn't want to have that stress in his life dealing with Elon Musk, because as we saw with the English cave diver in Thailand, Elon Musk can say something insanely defamatory, and because he has such good lawyers, he doesn't get any punishment. So even if this guy took Elon Musk to court over this, who knows if he'd actually win, because billionaires are essentially untouchable in our society because they do have the best lawyers and they can get out of doing stuff like this. It just fundamentally shows how nasty Elon Musk is. Here is a guy that so many people say is a great guy to work with, who's done a really good job in the tech sector, has done a good job with Twitter, has been there longer than Elon Musk. He randomly just fires him without contacting him. And when he calls him out on Twitter, Elon Musk basically says, "Well, you probably didn't do anything because you have a disability you hide behind to be lazy," apparently. What a really disgusting ableist guy. If you didn't think he was already really racist, transphobic and everything like that, he's also a horrible ableist, and those things always do go hand in hand. Pretty much showing the world he is a terrible person. I don't know what Hallie's going to do, but you guys might get the sense he seems like a pretty nice guy. And I just went on his website. Let me just go through some of the things that's on there. And this is the guy that Elon Musk decided to criticize in this manner. So Harolda for Leifson, a very, very nice Scandinavian name there. So some things, I started an agency called Bueno, and I ran it for 7 years before it was acquired by Twitter in 2021. I also started Bueno, a non-profit that donates money to good people doing good things. I've also won awards like Designer of the Year and such. The president of Iceland even gave me an award once for being good at business things. That was nice of him. Later, he gave me the Order of of the Falcon, the Icelandic Medal for Chivalry for contributions to Icelandic social issues. Also very nice of him. And let's not forget, I was Person of the Year in Iceland in 2022. I started a fund that built 100 wheelchair ramps in Reykjavik in 8 months. Over the next 4 years, we are building 1,500 more ramps in Iceland. We've gotten awards from the Reykjavik City, the Icelandic Human Rights Centre, and we've been featured by the United Nations. Obviously, as an ableist person, Elon Musk feels superior to this guy just because he doesn't have a disability. On top of being like really humble and nice about this horrible situation he's faced, he's also lauded as one of like the best people in Iceland, right? Doing all this work for people with disabilities, being like the Iceland's Person of the Year in 2022, seems to be a very much like genuinely loved guy. Contrasting with him being fired for having a disability by Elon Musk, one of the most nasty, narcissistic, and fragile men in the world, gets all his validation by posting rubbish memes and all his brain-dead simps telling him how funny he is. But most of all, a lot of people in his personal life don't like him. So he seems like he's never actually felt like genuine connection and love from people. That's why he's such a terrible human being, and pretty much has always been a terrible human being. I really hope this guy either gets paid what he's owed, takes Elon Musk to court and sues him badly. Maybe if he really wants to continue working for Twitter, doing his old job. I'm not sure if he will. But again, it's just such a nice contrast. The Elon Musk just being a terrible person to a guy who seems like one of the nicest people around. Now, staying on the subject of Twitter, of course we know it's an absolute mess. Anyone who uses Twitter regularly can tell you there's so many problems with it now. There's so many problems that regularly appear which you've never heard of before when you were using it over the last like decade. You know, I made my first Twitter account in 2011, it's never been this bad, but thankfully there's been people leaking stuff to the press about how actually terrible it is to work there. The first one was a report by the BBC, so Twitter insiders, we can't protect users from trolling under Musk. I don't really want to talk about this part of it, I just want to talk about like the personal insight to Twitter. So in San Francisco, the home of Twitter's headquarters, I set out to look for answers. Because he's still working there, he asked us to conceal his identity, so we're calling him Sam. And Sam said, for someone on the inside, it's like a building where all the pieces are on fire. When you look at it from the outside of the facade, it looks fine, but I can see that nothing is working, all the plumbing is broken, and all the faucets, everything. He says the chaos has been created by huge disruption in staffing. At least half of Twitter's workforce has been sacked or chosen to leave since Musk bought it. Now people from other teams are having to shift their focus. A totally new person without the expertise is doing what used to be done by more than 20 people. That leaves room for much more risk, many more possibilities of things that can go wrong. He says previous features still exist, but those who designed and maintained them have left. He thinks they are now left unmanned. There are so many things broken and there's nobody taking care of it that you see this inconsistent behavior. The level of disarray in his view is because Mr. Musk doesn't trust Twitter employees. He describes him bringing in engineers from his other company, electric car manufacturer Tesla, and asking them to evaluate engineers' code over just a few days before deciding who to sack. Code like that would take months to understand, he tells me. But I love this part. So he believes this lack of trust is betrayed by the level of security Mr. Musk surrounds himself with. Whenever he goes in the office, there are at least 2 bodyguards, very bulky, tall, Hollywood movie-style bodyguards. Even when he goes to the restroom, he tells me. He thinks for Mr. Musk it's about money. He says cleaning and catering staff were all sacked and that Mr. Musk even tried to sell the office plants to employees. Despite that article being relatively new, we have known that Elon Musk is so incompetent at running Twitter, thinks he understands all the coding, and like this guy said, brings in Tesla engineers to review stuff before firing people, but they wouldn't even understand the code after spending so little time with it. So basically, he's just bringing in a bunch of yes men from Tesla to help him clean house at Twitter. But there's another article in iNews. It's a pressure cooker, says one remaining staff member speaking anonymously. There are no guidelines, there's no respect, there's absolutely zero transparency, it's awful. No one knows who's next for the chop. Managers were recently told to provide a list of people who ought to be promoted, says one former staff member still in touch with some who remain working. Little did they realise they were signing their own death warrant. Many of those managers were subsequently fired and replaced by those they'd recommended. as part of a cost-cutting drive. Like, what a terrible person this guy is, and also what an idiot he is as well. So that tanked morale, which was already sub-zero. A big part of the way we think about our jobs is having a sense of pride about the job we do and where we work, says Bruce Daisley, former vice president of Twitter in Europe. The more Musk behaves like a local drunk, getting into slanging matches with disabled ex-employees, the less current employees will be proud to say they work there. For those clinging on, many of whom are doing so because their right to work in a country is directly linked to their continuing employment at Twitter, which I outlined before and people got really mad about for some reason, I don't know why. The future looks bleak. They're giving contradictory advice and directions based on Musk's ever-changing whims. Some have been told key data centers or offices will be taken offline or closed to save costs and taken prep work to do that, only to have orders arrive that the decision had been reversed and their owner panics at another outage on the site. So it goes on to say, those who do work there are also increasingly less frequently actually Twitter employees. Staff at the social media platform grouse that they're asked to take orders from workers who have been dragooned into Twitter's ranks from Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk's other companies. It's a disaster, says one former employee. It looks like the owner is just throwing people into positions, hoping they work out. Another call the arrivals from Musk's other companies, clueless about how to run a social media platform. So of course I feel terrible for a lot of people, especially migrant workers, like stuck at Twitter, stuck at working for this man-child who doesn't know what he's doing because they will lose their visa if they don't get another job within a month after leaving. But why I like this whole story as well, despite the fact I am quite annoyed about how badly Twitter is going, because I like using Twitter generally, is it just disproves the myth of meritocracy so bad, because Elon Musk always had this myth of being like an unconventional but great businessman. Like, he was going to take us to Mars. He was going to create, I don't know, tunnels in LA for cars apparently, and they all look amazing, don't they? Totally don't look like a death trap. Tech bros were lauding him as a guy who would take us into the future, but it's pretty clear this guy had a massive head start in life from his father's investment in an emerald mine, among other things, then just bought his way into successful companies and then claimed all the credit, like Tesla, for example. And of course, he didn't want to do this with Twitter. He didn't actually want to buy Twitter. He kind of wanted to do it because people would like him, massively overpaid, and then got sued into basically paying up. And now he just has this on his hands, and he's responsible for this absolute money pit that is Twitter, and is in debt so badly to other companies like Amazon for their cloud service and stuff, which Twitter uses. And instead of being able to stay with the ship, he's just making it worse while being on Twitter 24/7 posting stupid memes. Like, billionaires do not deserve their success, and even ones who are like actually hard workers, it seems, like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, had a massive leg up in life because they came from wealthy parents. But he makes them look infinitely better because all their vindictiveness and all their terrible like personal habits are kind of in private. You don't really hear about what a terrible guy personally Bill Gates is or Mark Zuckerberg, despite the fact we probably know they are. But with Elon Musk, it's so in your face, it's so front and center. So when you see what he does on Twitter to ex-employees or fires people for their disabilities, it's really not surprising. He actually is just like totally incompetent, because for him, everything he does is driven by narcissism and how much people will like him. And because it's driven by narcissism, he doesn't hire people who are good at their jobs. He hires people who kiss his ass. And that's why he's fired so many people on Twitter who are critical of his management. And that's why he's doing all these cost-cutting measures which seem ridiculous, because it's just leaking so much money. So in real time, we're seeing how this guy runs a company, right? We're seeing how he runs this corporation and how terrible it is and how much he affects like real people's lives who work there. So do you guys think it would be a good idea if he owned a whole town? And this story kind of reminds me of Les Wexner, who obviously was the billionaire who owned like Victoria's Secret and Abercrombie and stuff. And he also had his hedge fund run by Jeffrey Epstein. So he kind of has an association with Epstein like Elon Musk does as well. But he also had like his own town that he set up where people like Epstein and Maxwell lived. And now Elon Musk seemingly wants to copy this. So an article that came out today, Elon Musk is planning a Texas utopia, his own town. And this just sounds so ridiculous. So Elon Musk is planning to build his own town on part of thousands of acres of newly purchased pasture and farmland outside the Texas capital, according to deeds and other land records and people familiar with the project. In meetings with landowners and real estate agents, Mr. Musk and employees of his company have described his vision as a sort of Texas utopia along the Colorado River where his employees could live and work. Executives at the Boring Company, Mr. Musk's tunnel operation, have discussed and researched incorporating the town in Bastrop County, about 35 miles from Austin, which would allow Mr. Musk to set some regulations in his own municipality and expedite his plans according to people familiar with the project. They say Musk and his top executives want his Austin area employees, including workers at Boring and Tesla and space and exploration company SpaceX, to be able to live in new homes with below market rents. What a very, very generous guy. Some Boring employees, including Steve Davis, the company's president, have at times described even bigger plans, including creating an entire city, according to some of those people and text messages viewed by the Wall Street Journal. During an all-hands meeting of Boring employees last year, Mr. Davis said they would have to hold an election for mayor, according to text messages and people familiar with the meeting. So what are the odds that Elon Musk runs for mayor of his town? I would say it's extremely high. Because he's such a narcissist, he would love to add, I'm also the mayor of this town, and maybe I can set my own laws in this town as well. And we're seeing how he's exploiting like the visa situation to treat certain Twitter employees like absolute garbage. How badly do you think he's going to treat these employees at SpaceX and Boring and Tesla once they are literally renting homes from a town he created? What I love about like libertarians and right-wingers is like they invent stuff that already exists or has existed, but we've moved beyond in many places because it's terrible. Like, yeah, throughout American history, there's been so many industries which own the town and own the homes you rent from them, like mining towns, for example. That's a big one in many parts of the UK, where the mining company often own the homes. Also, you have communities set up around these things because of the jobs. But of course, when something like a mining company moves, you just leave all these people without jobs in these homes in the middle of nowhere. And of course, you have that power dynamic. Not only do you pay their salary, they need to buy things to live. Now you own their home as well. Like, this is the horrible dystopia we are aspiring towards. And the fact that these people want to build an actual city is even more amazing. But we all know, thankfully, despite their delusions of grandeur, despite Elon Musk and this Boring Company guy wanting to build towns and cities, which Elon Musk will be the mayor of, we know it's going to end in disaster because Elon Musk is involved. We've seen how incompetent he is. We've seen how he cannot run Twitter. He can't really run his own companies. He's just like the face of his companies. When he actually has to do the work, like with Twitter, he's just shown to be totally incompetent. So if he actually had to run a town, we know it'd probably inspire a bunch of dystopian movies afterwards, because we know it's going to go so wrong, and we know he's going to threaten employees with their homes if they do something to annoy him, because he's just one of the biggest narcissists around. Anyway, we have caught up with Elon Musk. I would say this is probably one of the last videos on him in a while, but we all know he's going to do something stupid soon, so I might make a video on him in the near future. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.